Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. I keep thinking about this all the time. If Shanks knew who Luffy was, or rather, if he already suspected that the kid who couldn't even swim, who threw himself in front of bar thugs and bit a pirate's arm like it was dried meat from a street fair, was that boy with the hat, that boy with the smile, that boy who would one day change the world? You know what? Why didn't he take him? Why didn't he just grab that kid and put him on the ship right then and there? That's where the provocation starts. Because if we only look at it emotionally, at the promise Luffy made, at his own words saying, I'm going to become the king of the pirates and return this hat to you, it seems like it was Luffy who chose to stay and that Shanks respected the dream, but was that really all there was? I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. There's that scene in chapter 1 that I can't get out of my head. Higuma throws a drink at Shanks, throws food, they insult him, they insult the crew, and he laughs, he lets it happen, and Luffy gets furious. He can't understand how someone so strong would accept that kind of thing. But later, when that same guy points a gun at one of his crewmates, that's when Shanks acts. Because to him, words aren't worth blood. But attacking his own, that changes everything. And in that moment, maybe for the first time, Luffy sees what real strength is. It's not about who shouts the loudest. It's about who endures the most in silence until the right moment comes. And maybe, just maybe, Shanks saw that as the first lesson Luffy needed to learn on his own. To learn patience, to learn understanding. But what if it had gone differently? What if that same day, after saving Luffy from the Sea King, after losing his arm, after placing the hat on his head, Shanks had said, do you really want to be a pirate? Then come, and took Luffy with him, right there. What would have happened to the world? To destiny? To Luffy himself? The first thing that would change is Luffy's own growth. Because we know he became who he is because he lived the way he did. He got smacked around by Dadan, fought with Ace, became friends with Sabo, ate from the trash, trained with his fists. He was forged in hardship. That shaped his sense of justice. It shaped his empathy. If Luffy had boarded a ship full of experienced pirates from the start, maybe he would have become a warrior quickly, but with less heart. Because Shanks, as great as he is still an emperor, a legend. And legendary pirates don't spend time explaining things. They give orders. And Luffy, being just a child, might have learned to obey before learning how to lead. If he had left with Shanks, maybe the East Blue would never have seen him liberate Orange Town, or fight Buggy, or save Zoro from that post in Shell's Town. Because without Luffy, Zoro might have died right there. And without Zoro, there's no Straw Hat crew. And then it all starts to collapse. Because each piece of the story fits into the next. Usopp only joined because Luffy went to Syrup Village. Nami only gave in because Luffy showed up at Arlong Park. Sanji was only saved because Luffy sank Don Krieg. And Chopper only came to understand what friendship is because Luffy defied the fate of Drum Island. If Luffy had been with Shanks, he might never have gone through any of that. And maybe there never would have been a crew. Never been the Merry, never been the Thousand Sunny, but that's the downside. Now let's talk about the good parts of that story. Imagine Luffy growing up on Shanks' ship. The first thing that changes is the level of training. Forget Dadan, forget the Goa Forest, forget even Ace and Sabo for a while. Now Luffy is surrounded by Ben Beckman, Usopp, Lucky Roo, and an entire crew of experienced pirates who fight the government, other Yonkos, and sea monsters for breakfast. Literally. With Shanks, Luffy would probably start taking part in dangerous missions as a kid, like spying on other Yonkos, clashes with Whitebeard, escapes from the Marines, light stuff like that. Picture him at 13 already sneaking into a Cypher Paul hideout just because he heard there were sweets hidden there, and coming back with one less tooth and an even bigger grin. By the time the main timeline hits, around age 17, in the original story where he leaves East Blue with just his hat and his courage, this Luffy would already be sailing with a bounty on his head. Maybe 150 million, maybe more. Maybe he wouldn't even go by Monkey D. Luffy to protect his relatives, or maybe he wouldn't even grasp the concept of keeping a low profile. Imagine Ace gets captured, just like before, but this time, Luffy doesn't come rushing from Impel Down, exhausted, beaten up, and without a plan. He's already a pirate who's been sailing with Shanks for nearly a decade. Would Luffy go to Marineford? For sure. But this time, he'd arrive with backup. And not because he's Ace's brother, since in this version he wouldn't have grown up with Ace, but because he was with Shanks, there to save the son of his old captain. And if that happened, Ace wouldn't die, period. Because the only reason he died was his stubbornness in turning back to fight Akainu after being saved. But with Luffy by his side, maybe even Shanks too, and seeing that they were both still alive, maybe Ace would have listened. Maybe he would have left. So let's move on. Dressrosa. Same setting, a colorful, tragic country ruled by a mafia clown with insane powers and an ego bigger than the Sunny. Only this time, it's not Luffy with his crew who shows up. It's Shanks with apprentice Luffy on deck, maybe already a teenager, a bit stronger, but still with a long journey ahead. Imagine Shanks landing in Dressrosa with that usual vibe of his, calm, smiling, drink in hand, like he just came for a quick round. But behind that grin, he already knows everything. He's figured out Doflamingo's been selling weapons to fuel the New World's wars, messing with the underworld on a level that even threatens the balance between the Yonkou. And of course, Shanks hates unnecessary war. He doesn't want a world to collapse before the boy with the smile truly gets his moment to shine. Luffy sees that twisted kingdom full of sad toys and crying children, and he just can't take it. He wants to punch Doflamingo right then and there. Shanks even tries to hold him back, says that classic, calm down, it's not time yet. But let's be honest, trying to hold Luffy back is like trying to leash a thunderstorm. The main point, Doflamingo. Luffy faces him, yes. He probably still takes a serious beating, because Daffy is experienced and sadistic, and Luffy isn't yet the guy who took down Kaido. But this time, Shanks is in the picture, and when the red-haired man enters the game, the whole tone shifts. There doesn't even need to be a fight. Shanks shows up on top of the palace with that aura of I am peace, but I am also the end of your peace. And Doflamingo starts sweating cold, because he knows messing with Shanks isn't just a fight, it's war. And Shanks doesn't want to destroy Dressrosa. He wants to destroy the system Daffy represents. In this universe, Dressrosa would be the moment Luffy realizes being a pirate isn't just about adventure. It's about interfering, changing things, transforming the world, being part of the tide that washes tyrants away. Now imagine that same Luffy, more mature, more trained, arriving in Wano alongside Shanks. Not with a plan to invade, but because Shanks heard rumors Kaido was messing with things far too dangerous. Weapons, experiments, maybe even some secret from the Void Century. And of course, Luffy is fascinated. Samurai, swords, armor, hot baths, and a giant guy who turns into a dragon. It's a chaos paradise. But this time, Luffy isn't the one leading the rebellion. He's a piece in a larger plan. Maybe used as bait, maybe as a spark. And even without his crew, he's still Luffy. If he sees injustice, he acts. If someone gets hurt, he protects. If there's a villain, he punches. And then we get Luffy facing Kaido, maybe earlier than he should, maybe still getting wrecked, but this time with Shanks stepping into the battlefield. And here comes the most insane moment. Shanks versus Kaido. Yes, that fight the manga always mentioned but never showed. And Luffy watching, up close, what a clash between titans really looks like. Watching his mentor take on the strongest creature in the world. Understanding that true strength isn't just muscles, it's purpose, it's sacrifice. And more than that, Luffy sees the people of Wano rise. He sees Samurai smiling again. And even though he's not the main hero of that story, he feels it. I helped. Because in the end, for him, becoming Pirate King isn't about ruling the world. It's about freeing people, about laughing at the top with everyone. So, what do you think of this universe? In it, Luffy would barely grow since he wouldn't face real hardship with Shanks protecting him. That's a big problem. When would he awaken then? Maybe that's why Shanks never took him along, so he wouldn't get in the way of Luffy's growth. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.